to everyone.
At least 50% of his class has his grade or lower. Is moving towards everything race.
And the police comes and they say, well, we can't do anything. It's all, of course, all opinions are my own, not my employer's.
Period.
Hello, it's Wednesday, and it's time for Pop and Politics. Tonight, we are back with the latest in hot topics, news, and entertainment. I'm KJ, and let me introduce you to my co-hosts. We have Shelly, we have Yana, Xandria, and T. Join the conversation by leaving a comment on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter. We will check the comments periodically throughout the show. And don't just comment, subscribe. Subscribe to our social media so you always know when we post new content. Check us out on the web at www.metroconservativemedia.com for up-to-date information. We are a necessary voice in news and entertainment. All right, ladies, let's set it off. So we are off to our first topic of the evening. So last week on The View, there were some outlandish comments made by Joy Behar and Whoopi Goldberg, basically towards the Supreme Court over the oral arguments in what could be the next landmark abortion case, Dobbs v. Jackson Women's Health Organization. Take a look at this clip.
It's a very interesting schism that goes on here because on the one hand, sex sells everywhere. I mean, you can't see an aspirin commercial without somebody having sex. Mm-hmm. You cannot turn on any program, especially on except streaming, where people are having... There's soft porn everywhere now. Right. They encourage all of that. Sex sells. Yeah. And yet when it comes to the reality of pregnancy, this particular group of people on the right in this country and these religious zealots do not understand the reality of what happens when you have sex. It's almost like they don't want to see that part. They just want to see the fun in the bed, not the second part. Mm-hmm.
When she talks about the ability to get these children put into foster care, basically, or into orphanages or adoptions. Oh, yeah. Please look up the numbers of how often and who gets adopted. Yep. It's not a whole lot of folks at this table.
Okay. So, Shelly, I want to start off. How do you respond to Jewel?
Well, first, I would like to say to Miss Behar, I would ask her again, what kind of dope are you smoking? And please let me share some because I want to escape reality sometimes too. And secondly, I don't know who told Whoopi that she looks like good in that Santa suit. She looks like the Black Grinch. So anyway, but back to the point. They're talking about abortion, and what Joy misses and conveniently excludes is that, first of all, conservatives do enjoy sex. We enjoy it very much, but we also enjoy it, and we use sex in marriage, particularly for the protection and the raising of children and for reproduction. And what they don't mention on this tape, on this clip, is that abortion, particularly in the Black community, we have the most abortions, at least in New York and in many other places, and how that hurts us as a community. Our children are the ones that are being sucked down the sinks.
Yeah, you're right. I want to go to you, Yana. I mean, you heard what Joy said. All we want to do is see sex on TV, and we don't understand, what I guess what really goes on. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, first of all, I want to say that she sounds bitter. She sounds like she keeps seeing all these people having sex and it's not happening in her life. That's what I hear from what she said. And also, conservatives, I think, understand what happens as a result of sex more so than people on the other side, because we always talk about it. We talk about the possibility of pregnancy, and they are the ones that always think that it's just fun and games, and then whoops, and what do I do? And now they want they want access to abortion without any restrictions whatsoever. And Whoopi, I think, what did she? I wonder what she meant that she said something about kids not being adopted. I mean, it seems to me that she meant that it was like Black kids are not being adopted enough. That's what I got from what she said. And so basically what she's saying is better for them to die than to be born and, have a possibility of whether being adopted or not. So in her mind, it's better for them not to be alive at all.
Yeah. They come off and they talk all this talk. What are your thoughts, Xandria, on the comments?
So as somebody who is very case specific, right, and not even fully against abortion for all reasons, to Joy, sex sells. So do murder mystery movies, right? Does that mean like we're giving people the right to go around killing people? Like, I just don't even understand her comment. Do it with protection. Actions have consequences. And guess what? People can have sex without having babies. It's called contraception. And pick your poison. There's so many different types of things out there. I mean, somebody like her, you're telling me that she can afford expensive Nike shoes or whatever her expensive outfits are, and she can't go to a store like a CVS or a Walgreens and buy some condoms, right? In the end, what's going to cost more? I was looking up some costs, and according to this Compass Care site, the average cost for a first trimester abortion in the US is $508, but it's anywhere between $78 and $2,500 for a first trimester. Second trimester, but around $1,195. And the median cost for a late-term abortion is around $3,000. So what is more expensive, right? What would you rather spend money on, some contraception or diapers or an abortion, right? It's such an illogical comment and an illogical way of thinking. Go ahead, use birth control, go ahead, use abortion as birth control. That's the message that they're pretty much telling people.
Yeah. And before I get your thoughts, T, I want to get your thoughts on this next clip. Take a look at this, guys.
Do any of you men have any eggs or the possibility of carrying a fetus? How dare you talk about what a fetus wants? You have no idea. Now, I'm fine if you disagree with abortion. I have no problem with that. My problem comes when you tell me what I need to do with my doctor and my family. How dare you? How dare you?
So T, what is your response to her? Firstly, before you begin, I don't even understand how people can even look at Whoopi these days. And I'm not talking about like just because she's, hard to look at, but she looks like she can barely breathe. Like she is like I feel sorry for her. She has some really bad health issues. And instead of running her mouth so bad, she needs to do something about her health. But T, go ahead.
You told Harpo to beat me, face ass. So yeah, regarding that comment, first of all, does Whoopi even have any children? Has she ever experienced birth herself?
Yeah, I think she has a daughter. She has a daughter.
Did she adopt her? Or she
No, I think she has a daughter.
Oh, well, and when it comes to abortion, like I don't even know where her comment comes from, because we have to also think about the men here. I know women say, "Oh, my body, my choice," but you laid up with the man. She didn't have the baby by herself. Like you laid up and had this baby with someone else, regardless of how it happened or who it was. Is someone else's baby too. So why not consider the man? And it's not just about the women when it comes to these situations. The man plays a part in it somehow. So, I don't even understand where a fetus can't speak for itself, just like a 2-year-old can't make decisions for themselves when they get here. Like that just, they go too far to try to make a point, and it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, exactly. She was actually responding to Alito, one of the justices on the Supreme Court's argument. Basically, he said, he argued on Wednesday that a fetus presumably had the same interest both prior to and after the point of viability. So he says the fetus has an interest in having a life, and that doesn't change, does it? From the point before viability to the point after viability. So that's where she was responding to. Anyone's thoughts on that?
Yeah, so these are the same people who say follow the science, but they want us to ignore the science when it comes to nascent human life at the very beginning of its inception. They want us to ignore the science. A baby by 7 weeks, 6 or 7 weeks, the heartbeat is detectable. Okay, it's detectable. Doesn't mean that it wasn't there. It's detectable at that time frame. At around 20 to 24 weeks or so, babies can be, if they were delivered, they can be sustained and may make it through, to a functional life. So they want us to ignore this. Around 7 or 8 weeks, it is determined that the babies can feel pain. Okay, so this is one of the reasons why many people, at least with some moderation or some consideration for having abortions, they want to limit it to the first trimester when the baby is not viable in many cases, or if not all cases. So they want us to ignore the science or follow the science in other avenues, but to ignore it totally when it comes to infant or embryonic life.
Yeah. And even one of the other panelists, Anna Navarro, who's supposed to be the conservative, she said that's the thing. They're all into sanctity of life before it comes to 4 teenagers who died in Oxford, Michigan. How about their right to life? And pursue happiness. So she's trying to say
not even the same thing. That's totally not the same thing. And I mean, it's when it comes to.
Have you guys heard about Portland? That in Portland they'll provide a bereavement leave for people who have lost their pregnancy, whether it was a miscarriage or even abortion. So the city said that people have a right for a bereavement leave even when it's abortion. So that basically means that they do realize that there's a baby that's being killed or that died. They do realize it. They don't even hide it anymore. They just think that it's okay.
I have a question for Whoopi, and I understand that she was responding to a justice, but is she a fetus to speak for the fetus? I mean, it's just so bizarre. Does she, even when you're a pregnant mother, besides knowing you need to eat a little more for your baby, right? Is the fetus, like T said, is the fetus talking to you? It's just so strange. And if
she looked like a 9-month-old fetus. The hair was one. Her hair looks like one.
Also, did you guys catch on that she said the problem is when a man tells her what to do with her doctor and family? Is the man not part of the family to have a say in what's going on?
That's what I'm
saying.
Just
so bizarre. I don't necessarily take issue with the concept of an abortion itself. That's just me. But I do take issue when these celebrities and these leftist people are sensationalizing it's just some sort of morning vitamin that they just take, all the time. It's just commonplace. It's not something that should be commonplace. There's a lot of implications of abortion. It's not good for a woman's body at all. It's not good for the baby. Be responsible.
Right. And I want to also add, Joy mentioned that conservatives don't care about the consequences. Well, I don't know where she's been, but across the country, there are many, many conservative organizations that do pick up the slack and pick up the hurt and the pain of women who have had abortion and who regret them. Across the country, there are many conservative ministries, Christian ministries, or any other kind of religious ministries that help single women and families with their children when they need the assistance. Where are the secular versions of those places?
Exactly.
I mean, just imagine, I don't even understand with abortion. Just imagine, okay, personally, my mother shared with me that she almost aborted me when she found out she was pregnant. She was young and she didn't know what to do. I come from a very strict Christian family home, and she wasn't married. So I'm like, just imagine y'all just imagine if I wasn't here. So you just never know what these fetuses can grow up to be. And it's like,
I want to share something about the Soviet Union that I found, that in 1920, it was the Soviet government was the first government in Europe to legalize abortion. And in October 1920, the abortion made legal within the Russian Soviet Socialist Republic with their decree on women's health care. So it was made to be as a women's health care by Marxist government, the first one in Europe to do that. And by 1988, 66% of all pregnancies in the Soviet Union ended up in abortion, which was about 4.5 million aborted per that year. And actually, towards the end of the Soviet Union, the country had a negative population growth. So we had a decline in population, and abortion was a big contributing factor of that.
Well, when you think about it, because the narrative is, if Roe v. Wade is overturned, then this becomes, we're gonna see people with hangers tearing out babies and backstreet alleys and all that type of stuff, and that's not the case. Roe v. Wade just federalizes it, but if for some reason it is overturned, it just goes back down to the state level, and so depending on the state, and that's who would declare whether you have the right to abort your kids or not. So it's not something that would happen. Even when before Roe v. Wade passed, again, history shows you, and the numbers back that up to support it, that it was state by state. It was something that depending on the state would tell you, will declare how abortion laws are.
Yeah, and I want to add too, even before Roe v. Wade was legalized here, women have always had abortions throughout history. There's been some mechanism or means or ways that a woman has done that. So again, it was supposed to be here in the States, safe, legal, and rare. It has now become a method of birth control.
Mm-hmm. And again, I want to again, guys, please continue to comment. We want to please comment, share this post, so we can we'll check the comments periodically throughout the night. I want to Blanca Alvarado. She says, "I am glad you are here, T. You are a blessing, and your mom is to be commended for choosing life. You had a divine purpose even before you were born." So
thank you, Blanca.
Yes, indeed. So yeah, I mean, and my mom was adopted. Several of her brothers and sisters were adopted, and she had a wonderful life. She was blessed by that. So I mean, a lot of people are adopted, and that's kind of the tough thing, because you hear these leftists talk about how bad adoption is, and people should have the right to choose abortion to kill their babies. But what about all these people that were adopted into good families? What is that? How does that make them feel?
And also, they're always focused on, like, if that's their concern, that people are going to be having babies and they're going to have to be adopted, then don't have babies. Go use contraception. Again, like, it's people that are irresponsible, that are going to be irresponsible parents. They shouldn't be having kids. Learn how to be responsible. Like, that's what they should be preaching, not this concern of kids getting adopted. I think what Shelly said is so key. Abortion should be rare. When it's needed, it should be rare. It shouldn't be.
That's what we have here. Somebody just commented actually to say that it should be a limit to how many. Mikkel says it should be a limit to how many abortions a woman can have. Like you have said, some women are using abortion as contraception.
Yeah.
Does anyone want to comment on that, or?
Yeah, there are rare instances where, I mean, I would say, for if someone was raped and they become pregnant, or, some type of incest or something that happened, I would think that would be an exception, right? But not just to use for any reason because you don't like the dude.
Right. All right. Well, again, as I said, join the conversation by leaving a comment on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter. We will check the comments periodically throughout the show. Also, please share this video as you watch, share, and like the video. You guys don't understand, but when we talk about topics like this, we become the internet tries to not push our video. It's crazy. So if you guys, as you guys comment and you share and like the video, it continues to allow our video to be viewed. So keep that up.
We have bots. I think we might have some bots trying to intercept what we're doing here. I don't know what's coming on here.
Oh, all right. Well, again, we will continue to check the comments periodically throughout the show. So now we are moving on to our pop-off round. This is a rapid-fire round where I ask each co-host a question. They don't know the question, and in 30 seconds or less, they answer. So tonight we are starting off with Yana. Yana, a couple of weeks ago, you talked about equity versus equality. I shared your comments to various Facebook groups, your clip. And one lady who was Black pushed back and said, how do we talk about equity and equality with white women? What is your response to that?
The same way you would talk to anybody else. I mean, I don't even know what she means by that. Because, I mean, for example, if somebody was just talking to me or I was talking to them and they didn't see my face or they didn't hear how I speak, it seems like I don't want, when I'm talking to someone, I don't want to focus on what they look like or what they sound like because they're human beings. So can we discuss ideas? Can we discuss philosophy or different movements without, looking at what the person looks like? I mean, does that really matter?
Yeah, exactly. I think she was saying, basically, she was contending that when you talk about equity and equality, she's saying white women don't have to worry about that. And so why would I post a video of you talking about the effects or non-effects of equity and equality when she feels as though you don't share that common
and why does she think that? Why does she think that I don't share any of her experiences? And I have an interesting story. When I was a teenager, it was a white lady who actually was filling out some form for me, and she checked me off as Asian. And I was really surprised, and I asked, why Asian? And she said, well, you're not Hispanic and you're not white. And she said that because I didn't sound white, because I had an accent. So there's all these things in America that people who were born here, either Black or white, they have this strange ideas what race really means, and they assume your experiences based on your race. So for example, I don't want to look at a Black person and immediately assume what their life was like or where they come from. That would be racism. That is not correct. And so the same way, when they look at me, immediately they should not be assuming that I had, I don't know, what do they assume? Like what kind of life I have, or like what kind of challenges I've had, but because they got to check their own racism then.
All right. Next, we have moving on to T. So T, please watch this clip of Jesse Lee Peterson's show, and let me know whether you agree or disagree and why.
I mean, I don't know. A real man is capable of staying faithful to his partner, right?
Are you dating guys or girls?
I'm girls.
Well, why you call it a partner? That's what gay people do.
Okay.
It's a girlfriend and a boyfriend, a husband and a wife. It's not a partner.
Right.
That's what the homosexuals and the radical lesbian want you to say so they can feel justified by being wrong.
Lesbian.
Do you agree with that? I mean, it has happened within the last couple of years that people call their significant other partner or their wife partner, husband partner instead of girlfriend or boyfriend. So can you comment on what you heard there?
And see, that's why when we get into these titles and everything, it just gets so confusing. I mean, really, the ultimate title should be husband and wife. The boyfriend and girlfriend thing, I mean, at some point after 30, you should just eliminate that, because no one's a boy and no one's a girl. We're men and women. So partner, yeah, these days we're looking at, I mean, no one has really said partner until this whole LGBT community started getting popular with theirs. So yeah, that's the word that we're looking for, a partner, unless there's no other really way to put it. Partner, what, a teammate partner? Like this, that doesn't make sense. If you're gonna be immature, just use boyfriend and girlfriend instead of partner, because that, yeah, it sounds gay.
Okay. All right. Next, moving on to Shelly. Shelly, please watch this clip and respond.
This is a full court press, and it isn't about healthcare. It isn't about valuing life. It is all about largely white men making these laws, helped along by the sort of duped religious right, to control women's bodies and to control reproductive access and reproductive care. When we talk about reproductive justice in our communities, let's remember that we have always, as a Black community, particularly Black women reproductive justice activists, have said, when we say reproductive justice, we mean the right to parent or to not parent, and to parent one's children in safe and healthy environments. Right? And we get caught up in the moral arguments about this, and this isn't about that. This is about our right to have self-determination and autonomy. And it is also about Lori's point, which is we want to build strong, healthy Black families. When these Republicans say that this is, that abortions have killed so many Black babies, y'all know they don't care about Black babies. What in their policy agenda cares about Black babies? They don't care about our families, right? They care about their right to control. And let me add one last thing. They also care about making white women have more children. This is also about their own demographic anxiety, because we know that white populations are rapidly becoming the minority because of capitalist structures. Folks can't support these families. And because of that, they need white women to have more babies. And white women are like, look, but we can't support these kids. We can't give them these middle-class lifestyles. So that's what's going on here. And if that means that you have to then take away reproductive access for women of color as a byproduct of trying to control everybody's reproduction, then these men are up for the task.
What the heck?
First of all, she sounds, I'm going to say dumb. And
she's a PhD.
Okay, she sounds dumb. She conflated all of these different parts. Number one, if other groups, I think she mentioned white women, if they're having babies, then why would you not want your Black community to have children as well? If you're so concerned about white people having babies and taking over, that even defies what she's talking about, her logic, number one. Number two, again, our communities, our babies, our women who are having the most abortions, okay, we're the ones who are losing the population. We're the ones who she's talking about parenting. If you don't have children, then who are you going to parent? Number one. Number two, parenting the child once the child gets here, that should be an honor, a privilege, a mandate to parent your children. Why would you not want to parent your children? Because you think that they are, I don't know the word she used, white adjacent or whatever the crap is. We have our children. Look, in the Black community, our people are killing each other and murdering each other left and right more than any other group, by proportion. We're the ones who are doing that. So this bull crap that she's talking about, I don't care what PhD she has. Okay, it's a PhD dumb.
Yeah. That was the dumbest show clip I have ever seen in my life. That shouldn't make sense. If conservatives are trying to stop abortion and Black babies are the ones that are generally mostly aborted,
right?
How was she trying to get rid of Black people? It doesn't make sense.
And she's
Because
talking
white
about white people trying to be the
don't care
minority.
about
Well, guess
black
what?
people,
Hispanics
and
are the
she just
minority. Hispanics
blanket.
are Hispanics are the ones who are increasing in their numbers, and they're becoming the quote unquote majority minority right now.
Well, there are a lot of mixed races children being born as well. Like there are a lot of, so maybe that's, you know, what she's saying, like the white people are losing it because there's no pure white children being born anymore.
Well, guess what? She's lost it already.
To be born.
She's lost it because the black people we're losing our population. We're losing our people in every community, urban area across the city where there's a predominantly black people. We're the ones who are killing each other. We're killing each other off. So this PH dumb person, you know, she's making this foolishness. She's trying to sound like because she has a PH dumb degree, that she's giving some credence and she's giving some honor, but she's making no sense. What she's doing is, again, she's getting us killed.
Yeah. All right, we're moving on. All right, so right, Xandria. So we have another clip. I want you to take a look, and I have a question for you once you watch it.
Your emotions are so clearly so right there on the surface. You felt shock. You felt anger. You felt sadness. Do you feel guilt?
No. I feel that there is. I feel that someone is responsible for what happened, and I can't say who that is, but I know it's not me.
Baldwin now awaiting the outcome of the sheriff's investigation, hoping whatever it uncovers helps to ensure a tragedy like this never happens again.
So that, of course, was a clip from the interview Alec Baldwin did last week. And basically, he's responding to what happened on the set of him firing a gun. It was a prop gun, but it happened to have live bullets, and he killed someone. So my question to you is, knowing all we know about what occurred, should Alec Baldwin feel guilty?
I mean, I don't know what leading up to the scene, right? Like if he had an opportunity to make sure the gun was empty, or if that was his responsibility. So if he had, you know, no way of knowing, I mean, maybe he should have tested out if it was purely something he thought was a prop gun. You know, I don't know if I was in that case, right? And it was just, I was told, hey, here's a prop gun, shoot it. Like, you know, I don't know how much time was between, hey, that point and scene starts right here. You know, so, I mean, I can kind of understand where he's coming from. If he did have an opportunity to test the gun and make sure it was empty and he didn't, well, yeah, that falls on him a little bit. But I don't know that it was his responsibility in that case. I think it's a really tragic incident, but I kind of understand where he's coming from. So,
okay. So whether it was his responsibility or not, you feel like he shouldn't feel guilty if it wasn't his responsibility. Even though, I mean,
I think you get a level of guilt no matter what. I mean, just as a person, right? Like, I don't know, if you accidentally kill someone, how could you not feel guilty? But I think when he's saying, like, is it your responsibility to have known there were bullets in there?
Well, no, not that. Just if he should feel guilty.
Oh, I mean, I would feel guilty if it was me, but I don't know. I feel like it's hard for me to like put that on somebody else. So yeah, I would personally feel guilty, but I feel like he was taking it more from like was it my responsibility? Like from a legal standpoint, am I guilty? Like I felt like that is what he was answering, but
yeah. Okay. All right. Well, that ends our pop-off round. We did have several comments throughout the round. Just want to go through those pretty quickly. Let's see here. We have Talis Howard. It's nice to hear women of conservative views without being attacked by leftist women just because they don't agree with their ideology. Oh, thanks, Talis. Hope I'm pronouncing your name right.
We hear you.
Yeah.
We get it too, Talis. We get it.
Let's see here. Mikkel says actor acting. So she is responding, I believe, to Alec Baldwin's interview.
Yeah,
That's-
and as a quick note, I'm sure he was coached by a publicist. You know what I mean? Because now there is going to be a legal proceeding, so he probably is coached not to say anything that might implicate him.
Very true. All right. So again, this is our pop-off round. Join the conversation by leaving a comment on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter. We will check the comments periodically throughout the show. Do you have a question that you'd like to hear answered by one of the co-hosts? Email me, kj@metroconservativemedia.com. We will ask the co-host your question during our next pop-off round.
We want all the smoke.
Yeah, indeed. So we're moving right along to topic 2 of the night. So we're talking about the Michigan mass shooting. So the parents of the suspect accused of shooting up a high school in Michigan were hit with involuntary manslaughter charges. The suspect, a 15-year-old white male, is being charged as an adult with 24 crimes, including murder, attempted murder, and terrorism for the attack at Oxford High School in Oakland County, Michigan. So 4 students were killed after the suspect opened fire using a handgun that was recently purchased by the suspect's father. In Michigan, a person can be charged with involuntary manslaughter if prosecutors believe someone contributed to a situation where harm or death was high. That's according to NBC News. If convicted, his parents could face up to 15 years in prison. So tonight we're asking the question, should the parents of the school shooter take responsibility or some responsibility under law for their son's crime? Starting off with you tonight, T. What are your thoughts on this?
Absolutely not. I would not want to be responsible for anything that anyone else does. I would, take accountability for my actions, but I would definitely not want to be convicted or charged with a crime that my children do. I mean, I'm buying a gun because I want the gun for my own protection. Now, if he chooses to go and make the decision for himself to go and shoot someone else, that's not on me. That's still on him. So the parents didn't pull the trigger. The parents shouldn't be convicted or charged.
All right. Shelly, moving on to you. What are your thoughts on this? He took his dad's gun, but 4 people shot. Should the parents be charged or have any type of responsibility for this?
The parents should be responsible or have responsibility for their own actions. If they committed some crimes that contributed to this horrendous crime, then those actions should be charged or penalized or prosecuted, not the shooting and the murdering of those students. Secondly, our system of jurisprudence is, first of all, you're presumed innocent until proven guilty, number one. Number two, you are charged for your own crimes, not someone else's. This is not the 3rd or the 4th century, the times that we don't live in those times. You're not charged, that we don't live in a communist country, at least not yet. But so the whole family cannot be just, rounded up and thrown in jail because of one person's actions against whatever the charges are. This is our system of jurisprudence. If we charge people for other people's crimes, even if it's the parents of a child or whomever in the family, then we are turning our system upside down.
All right. So Yana, do you agree with T and Shelly? Is this charge against the parents rounding them up and charging them with this crime? Is this what communist Russia would do?
Well, first of all, I want to say that the parents are not being charged with the murder. They're being charged with involuntary manslaughter, which is a different type of crime. So I definitely agree that they are responsible and that they should be charged. I looked into what happened there, and they were actually notified by the school. The school was concerned about this child, that he was showing some behavior that was concerning pertaining to the guns. And the mom actually responded. She texted the son saying, well, make sure you don't get caught with, looking at ammunition and things like that. Also, the mom texted him, "Don't do it," when she heard about the shooting, which it's strange because that already happened. So they were aware of some issues there. And what I want to say that, first of all, on the NRA website, for example, in the gun safety rules, it says one of the safety rules is you have to store the guns so they're not accessible to unauthorized persons. So one of the things that they did wrong is that they didn't follow the the basic gun safety rules, and they're actually making it worse for everyone who wants to legally own guns, because we have a right in America to have guns. But a family like this is making it hard for us because there, someone can use this situation saying, well, see what happens, when you allow people to have guns. And involuntary manslaughter is an unintentional killing that results either from recklessness or criminal negligence. And it's the defendant has to be aware of the risk that they were creating, or they might not be aware. But they were aware. They were notified of some issues. So definitely, I think from a legal standpoint, there is definitely a charge that they should have.
All right. Moving right along, Xandria. I mean, one of the things that the prosecutor pointed out in this case is gross negligence, is when she described the parents. She said, if you own a weapon or possess a weapon and you knowingly allow someone to have free access to it, who you have reason to believe might use it to injure someone, that is willful, and it's gross negligence. And there are lots of criminal consequences for that. Is there a consequence? Should they have any type of responsibility or share a consequence for the murder of 4 kids by their son?
So I think there's a lot to dissect there. I do think the parents were criminally negligent for not locking the gun up properly, but I don't think that you can determine, at least from what I have read through and the items that Yana mentioned, that they are necessarily that they were like aware of items leading up to it. Like talking about ammunition, that doesn't mean that somebody's going to commit a crime. Tons of 15, 14, 13-year-olds look up ammunition. A parent saying, "Oh, good, I'm glad you didn't get in," or don't get caught for researching ammunition. Like that doesn't mean that somebody's going to go kill somebody. Parents could say that about hunters too. You know what I mean? So I do think they are criminally negligent for not properly locking their gun, but I don't think they should be on the line for manslaughter. The father did call 911 when he noticed his gun was missing. It's not clear to me if they were really aware of their child's mental health issues. I know that certain signs were brought up from the teachers to the parents. It sounded like before the parents saw some of the drawings, different things were scratched out. So there's just no clarity there for me to have a determination on if they were aware that he had mental health illnesses. But tons of people have mental health illnesses. Are parents now, responsible for their children's mental health illnesses too?
You have a gun in your house.
Well, yeah, and it's not clear to me either. Did they properly lock up their gun or not?
No, they did not.
If somebody stole it, that's different, right? So if they did not properly lock up their gun, which is what it sounds like so far, then they're negligent for that piece alone. But I don't think they can be on the line for manslaughter. And I have a question. At what age should parents be liable for their children's independent actions? Because I feel like kids are pretty aware of themselves and pretty smart at the age of 15. And for instance, most people have alcohol somewhere in their homes, right? Or when their kids throw a party in secret and, things occur and maybe somebody, drives drunk behind the wheel and then something occurs, right? In all these cases, should the parents, if their kids are sneaking around, be liable for their children's actions? If they're unaware, if a kid steals their parents' car and then runs someone over, should they be liable for those actions? So I just think in this particular case, I don't think the parents can be held responsible.
Well, let me jump into this really quickly because we want to go through the timeline. So as you guys already mentioned, the day before he was online, he was searching for ammunition on his cell phone during class. And his mother was contacted about this from the school, and they did not get a response. Next day, the morning of the shooting, the teacher came upon a note on his desk, which alarmed her to the point that she took a picture of it on her cell phone. The note contained a drawing of a semi-automatic handgun pointing at the words, "The thoughts won't stop. Help me." In another section of the note was a drawing of a bullet with the following words above that, "Blood everywhere." So between the drawing of the gun and the bullet is a drawing of a person who appears to have been shot twice and is bleeding. The boy was wacko. The other figure is a drawing of a laughing emoji. He further down the drawing are the words, "My life is useless. The world is dead." As a result, his parents were called in immediately. A school counselor came to the classroom and removed him. This is the day of the shooting, and brought him to the office. His mother came, or both actually, his mother and father came. They refused to take him out of the school. They refused,
and no one checked his bag.
The classroom at this time. So day before they caught him looking for ammunition.
But that alone is not. That's not.
The next day they caught him.
That's him. They got to do.
Why didn't the school check his bag?
It said that when they showed the parents the drawing, the boy had already crossed out certain parts.
It doesn't matter.
Why did involuntary manslaughter?
These are red flags, as the comment mentioned. These are red flags, and this is what we know. This is what we know.
But why didn't
I'm sure he was showing signs of all this stuff in the home. It was either ignored or it was made to be.
But being a bad parent doesn't mean you're necessarily criminally negligent.
Xandria, yes, you are. So involuntary manslaughter negligence means that the defendant was not aware. Let's say that they were not aware of the risk, or they didn't accept the risk, but reasonably should have been aware of it. That is in the legal term. So reasonably. So what KJ is saying, they did give them some reasons of concern. So technically, yes, there is grounds for charge legally.
I think there may be grounds for charges for the parents' actions, not to be charged for murder because they didn't.
They're not being charged for murder.
That's what I'm saying. But not only that, where was the school? Why did they send him back to class? Why didn't no one at the school check his bag? The security officer or whomever, the principal. Why didn't they check his bags before they sent him back to class?
I mean, we could charge the school too.
Well,
That's a reasonable point. Yeah,
I'll tell you why they didn't check it. Because the school, Oxford High School, has taken on a disciplinary policy of restorative justice. So they have it in their pamphlet, restorative discipline practices. Whereas instead of taking a problem child out of the classroom, they feel like this will make him feel lesser than or pulling him out. So, and this is going on right here in Maryland. Darren Badillo, who is running for Baltimore County Executive, talks about this in his campaign on his website, how in Baltimore County, when they're disciplining these children, instead of automatic suspension or expulsion, they're no longer doing that like they used to do in my day. If you got into a fight or you did something, like you suspended. They're not doing that. They're keeping the children in the class with the people that they've been bullying or the person they have fought because of this. You don't want to make them feel bad. And so that's what you have going on here.
Wow, that's a good point. And I work with kids and I actually this is younger kids, but some of my children that I teach mentioned that there was a child in their school that was violent, like physically violent, and they literally telling me that they're scared of him. Every time I see these kids, they're like, we're afraid. And this kid is still being brought back to the school.
Yeah, it's something that's going on across the country at these schools. It's really ridiculous.
But yeah, they want. Yeah, like it says, they can get sex changes in school, but they can't check bags. It's the same thing. Like they want to be open and so liberal about sexual liberal freedom, or orientation, but yeah, they don't want to check bags. That doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it's awful. And like Yana said, I mean, we have, the Second Amendment provides us the right to bear arms. But things like this, when you're not responsible with that right, with that privilege, it does make it bad for people who are acting responsibly.
Well, let me say this. I look at ammo several times a week, so it kind of excites me. But looking at ammo in and of itself is not a crime. Number
It's
one.
also not necessarily a detector of an illness. With
It is not. But when you couple that with other things that this boy was showing, he has mental health issues.
I agree.
Like me, if I have a son who's 15 and I know he's a drug addict, or I know he is has an alcohol problem, I'm not going to keep alcohol laid out in my house. As a responsible parent, or I'm not going to leave my keys laying out because I know this boy has a problem and I need to be responsible with my things. Otherwise, he can go out and he can kill someone.
But you did say they found those drawings day of. So we don't know. As of now, we don't know anything that led up to that, right? Because it was already too late for them to remove the gun.
That's true. So, they also have witness testimony from neighbors of them who also has said that the boy had shown signs of mental health issues. So again, this is only what we know, and of course, all this will come out in the trial.
Right.
But I know that those parents knew something was off with this child.
And they also ran, didn't they? Like decide to run away?
That's disputed because they said initially their lawyer told them to kind of go and stay at wherever they were out of the public sight for a while, and they were on their way back. So that is disputed. It's being reported that they ran, and some reports said no, they were actually on their way back once the prosecutor made the charges because they had been told by their legal advisors initially when everything first happened to kind of get out of the public eye, so to speak. So that's disputable or debated, I guess.
Okay. Hey, my stance is I do think the parents were criminally negligent.
Right.
But I don't think they're necessarily guilty of involuntary manslaughter.
Right.
Those are the same thing.
I realize they could legally argue that, but I don't. I would talk more about the evidence that we're aware of. What?
It's within. So being criminally negligent.
No, I know. I heard that.
Within the involuntary manslaughter.
It's one of the criteria. It's one of the criteria.
Right.
It can't be, one or the other.
Right, but I'm just saying, as of this moment, it's not clear to me if and when the parents became aware that their son had a mental problem. So as of now, it sounds like all this evidence was brought to them day of. The guy called 911 when his handgun was missing. So.
And I want to say this about the idea that, these parents are making it bad or making it worse for Second Amendment 2A holders. That to me, that's a very low bar, because guess what? The left already wants us to not be able to uphold the 2A. So of course they're going to use anything they can, but that was already in the making. If they had their way tomorrow, or at least by midnight tonight, the 2A would be off of the Constitution.
Well, Shelly, why give them more ammunition?
I don't think they're not giving them more. They don't need any more. It's not giving them any more ammunition.
We're not holding people accountable. We're letting everybody do whatever.
Say that again.
And the left will win because we don't even hold our own, the people that we agree with, accountable.
Oh, I think they were negligent to some degree. I don't agree, like Xandria said. I don't necessarily know that it meets the standards of having them being charged for children's murders or their children's crimes. If they committed a crime, then yes.
You said they did commit a crime.
Then yeah, but I don't necessarily agree that it was in manslaughter or murder to be charged.
So what do you think they were crime? What would you charge?
Based on what I know, that sounds like that maybe they left it open or unsecure, or maybe he stole it. I don't know.
They did leave it open.
We don't know that.
Leave it unsecure.
We don't know that. We don't know which one it was. We don't know which one it was.
That is recklessness.
I do know that their son murdered 4 people. I do know that he murdered 4 people.
He didn't steal it. It's already they already admitted that they did not lock up the gun.
Right. So then that is their crime.
Right. Then that's their crime.
I mean, that is what they're being charged with.
But Yana's point is saying, okay, they kept a gun unlocked and they knew he had mental health issues. So when you put it together, they are criminally responsible for the murder. We don't know at what point as of now, we just don't know at what point, if they were aware that their son had mental issues. We don't know.
So are you saying what if
it finding drawings? I don't know that
it does come out that they knew he had mental health issues. So when you couple it, if they knew he had mental health issues and they did not lock the gun in the house, so they have a crazy kid in the home with mental health issues and a gun that they don't lock up, what would then be your response?
Yeah, then maybe they are responsible.
Shelly?
But I
KJ?
Wait, but KJ, going to that, right? If you labeled somebody that has a drinking problem, right? I agree. If you put out alcohol, right? It's not the best thing for you to do. But if that person, it's not illegal for you to do either. So,
what I say about that is you're talking about a weapon.
Alcohol kills more people.
Yeah.
Alcohol kills.
You're talking about a defensive weapon.
Alcohol.
Or if you have an adolescent, right? How many adolescents party? You might have a sense that they might party while you're not there, but you don't know for sure. So yeah, maybe it's irresponsible to leave the booze out, right? But if they all party while you're not there, like, can you charge for that?
Alcohol is a contributing factor in a whole lot of crimes, illegalities, and other things that happen. Again, I'm not saying that these parents shouldn't be charged with anything. If they meet the criteria to be charged with criminal negligence, fine. I am not for charging parents or in place of their children's crimes, not just this particular case, but I'm not in favor of charging parents for the crimes that their children commit.
I just have another thought about Alec Baldwin. We talked about him a little bit before, and the situation is that he picked up a gun that somebody else loaded supposedly, and he didn't know that it was loaded. So it seems like that's kind of like a bit of a similar scenario. We don't even know who did that, but should the person who was responsible for the gun safety on set should also be charged with something, just like Alec Baldwin? What do you guys think?
That's a good question.
Yeah. It's a challenging one because throw it to T.
Oh wait, what happened?
I thought KJ, did you say T?
Oh, I did. Well, go ahead, Xandria.
Okay, I was just saying. One, it was supposed to be a fake gun, right? Like a prop.
Well, somebody was responsible for the guns on set, so somebody put it there. So
or the ammunition.
The ammunition is supposed to be fake, but the guns you can shoot off of those guns that are on set.
A prop.
Right. So I don't know. It's a complicated one, right? Because you might not have the opportunity to try something when you're on set before your part comes up. So I don't know. That one's really unique and.
But that person had a responsibility. Whoever put that gun there had a responsibility. Like that was their job for gun safety.
That's their job.
So they didn't follow gun safety rules, obvious.
Yeah, well, that was that person's
but
job.
It wasn't their home.
Responsible.
It wasn't their home. You're free to do what you want in your home. That's their job to make sure that the prop gun is supposed to be, a prop gun.
So
if he was 18 and it was his parents' gun,
it would be more so of your home.
If he was 18 or 21 and it was his parents' gun, right? Like, would his parents be considered in the equation? I don't think so.
Well, we will definitely continue to follow this story. We do have to move on due to time. But again, join the conversation by leaving a comment. We can go through some of those comments now. We have here, Jim says, lock up the car keys, especially on parade days. All right. We have Blanca. She says, I actually heard a staff member ask the student if he wanted to go back to class, and the child said a firm no. Okay. And then we have Mikhail, whomever loaded the gun should be held liable. So talking about Alec Baldwin. All right, so keep the comments coming. Again, also subscribe Subscribe to our social media so you always know when we post new content. Check us out on the web at www.metroconservativemedia.com for up-to-date information. We are a necessary voice in news and entertainment. So we are moving right along to our Declare It a Crisis Baltimore. This is a campaign where we highlight crisis in Baltimore City, specifically murders of youth. So tonight we sadly are talking about Jacquise Mcfadden. He was found on October 27th at 5:45 p.m. At the 4100 block of 4100 Maribin Court in Baltimore. 18 years old, shot dead. So again, we're talking about, in Michigan, this mass shooting. We have a crisis here in Baltimore City. Again, this is a crisis of crime, and our youth are dying. Our leaders are not doing a good job. So we want to raise awareness about this. So hashtag Declare It a Crisis Baltimore, and post to your social media so we can just continue to keep this at the forefront. And, one thing that was been on my mind, I know some people say you're not supposed to talk religion and the Bible and stuff like that. But it's my show. So one of the things that's been on my mind is, I've been reading Judges, the book of Judges in the Bible. And it talks of, and I wonder, where are the judges of our generation? As in the judges of the Old Testament. People that God raised up to stand up for what is right, to go against what is plaguing our land and our city. People like Othniel, Ahad, Shamgar, the people who were leaders of that generation.
They killed them off.
Huh?
They kill them off. The ones who want to go against the narrative, the ones who are going. I mean, we used to have the elderly, but the elderly for this generation, well, the elderly messed up somehow a couple of generations ago because they fell for the okie doke. So we don't have those leaders. Either they kill them off, or the new generation, everybody wants to be liberal, like including the grandmothers, including the people. Right. There's no shame. We don't have shame.
Right. Yeah, the people that I'm talking about were young, though. They were the young people of that generation. We don't have that in our city. People that are led by morals. Now people are led by perversion, and it's clothed in equality. You have a lack of accountability, clothed in social justice, and it's just outright mediocrity. And so,
and the ones that try, they cancel them.
Well, stand up anyway. We continue to stand. We need people to continue to stand.
Exactly. And I think, we see that. I've noticed that actually in just personal relationships too. Like for example, if people are friends, like a friend should be able to come to their friend and tell them what they're doing wrong. But I've heard from people say like, well, if you're my friend, you would just support me, even if, you disagree. And it's like, no, like if I really disagree with what you're doing and how you're living your life, I'm going to tell you because I do care about you, or I care about humanity in general. So it has to be, even in personal relationships, people are forgetting that you can't just be stand off, have that approach to life. That's why we're having these problems.
I totally agree. And so that's just been on my mind, just living in the city and seeing all this death of our youth. Stop voting for Canaanites. And people who are religious know what I'm talking about. And that's who I'm talking about. If you don't know, it don't apply, let it fly. But I'm talking to people who claim to be people of faith. Stop voting for Canaanites. And if you don't know what I'm talking about,
before we even get there, we have to, as parents, though, we have to create some type of structure and values in our own, and morals in our own homes. And that's where we're messing up, because first of all, we're starting off our children's lives the wrong way. which starting off with not having proper, we're not raising our children, we're just maintaining them. And so this is where we have to start in our own homes. So before we can get to Canaanites, before we can get to the system, this is where we need to start in our own homes.
So typically, KJ, you asked about the judges of the Old Testament times. Typically, the judges in a community would be the priest or the religious people, the elders in the community, like someone said earlier. But when we have this idea that life doesn't matter, then why should they? They're not important. No life is important. And T, you're right. It starts at the home. But when we have our religious institutions teaching and supporting some of the same ideologies that are destroying us, then where are the people supposed to go? These policies, I don't know who said it, but about the last segment, the policy where the kid was allowed to go back to class because of this restorative education. Well, guess what? These same policies are getting us killed. We've been saying this since the first segment of this show, that PH dumb lady, okay? Her policies of not having an intact family is destroying us. So it goes from, it starts in the whole culture. It starts at home, but it permeates throughout the whole culture, up and down every institution in the culture.
Yep, you're right. You're right. And I'll end on this, Judges 2:16. Then the Lord raised up judges who saved them out of the hand of those who plundered them. Yet they did not listen to their judges, for they whored after other gods and bowed down to them. They soon turned aside from the way in which their fathers had walked, who had obeyed the commandments of the Lord, and they did not do so. Whenever the Lord raised up judges for them, the Lord was the judge, and he saved them from the hand of their enemies all the days of the judge. Again, stop voting for Canaanites.
In some ways, we're the judges right now.
Right, we are. I hope I am.
Yeah. They say judge not. No, I'm going to judge. We can judge. I mean, I don't know, like if that was the context of the Bible. I really got, and that's what I've been meaning to do, that is read that the context of that whole scripture, because I mean, I feel like we can judge based on the scripture or whatever.
It's taken out of context all the time. Don't worry. It's taken out of context all the time.
All right. Well,
Mikhail says, wait, 1 second. Mikhail says, I'm raising a teenage boy and it is so hard to find resources. Baltimore juvenile system wants your child to commit a crime in order to get help. I'm trying to prevent any crime from happening. Yeah, I mean, and that's where fathers come in as well, or male role models as well. And I'm sure you can. I don't know any in the area, but yeah, I mean, it's hard for a woman to raise a teenage boy, especially alone. So I mean, reach out to your resources or your male role models to see if they can help out as well. Because you're right. They want your children. They've been coming for our children for 2 generations now, and they're almost succeeding.
Mm-hmm. Mikhail, hang in there. Sorry, hang in there.
Hang in there.
There are some of those judges or judge-like people in the communities, but the media is working against them. The city is working against them. I mean, they're not televised. They're just people in the trenches, and it's not always easy to find them. When there's no resources pointing to their direction. So.
You're right. All right, so we are moving on to our final topic of the night. So let me see. All right, so we're moving on to our final topic of the night. Are Biden-led Democrats helping or hurting the country? So something to think about. We just talked about, leadership in our community, in our country. Right now, Democrats hold the House of Representatives, and they have a slight lead in the Senate. And in our cities, we have a city run by Democrats for decades, most cities across the country. So are their policies helping or hurting? So Yana, I'll start off with you.
Oh, definitely. I mean, hurting. We're losing our country, and they're destroying the country from within with these policies. Right now, we have such a great divide in the country. We have people fighting of men against women, and we have a different, all these gender identities and sexual orientation identities. We have the different political leanings, and we're all fighting, and it seems like the politicians are egging it on, and they just want to, and the media obviously they want to see more of that, and they're just breaking the country apart. And it seems to me, I mean, again, I have to think about Marxism, because they want a revolution, and the revolution can be either violent or it can be a social revolution. So it's like a slow decline and decay. So that's what I see.
Yeah. What do you think, Shelly?
So when I think of these progressive policies across the country, remember the movie The Sixth Sense? I see dead people. That's what I see. I see dead people. From the zero bail policies to these this rampant crime, to what you mentioned, KJ, about this restorative education. Where are at the end of every one of those policies, dead people. That's what I see, dead people.
Yeah, that's right. T, what do you think about this? I mean, are democratic policies hurting or helping the country?
I think they're helping. I think they're helping people to wake up and seeing that the Democratic parties, the democracy is not really even working for us. So now people's eyes are being awake to see that, hold on. Like I was in the grocery store and I heard a conversation on speakerphone where these two black guys were talking, and the guy on the other end was like, man, Biden is effing up the country, man. He's effing us up. So, I didn't want to say anything, but I was like, yeah, you're right. He is. So people are waking up now. And I think we have more people during this administration than Trump's administration that's waking up saying, oh, wait a minute. Who do we vote for again? Like, what's going on? Where is he? Where is Biden? Another thing I want to point out, an additional point is, we have to remember that democracy is, I was talking to my family over the holidays, because we have these conversations about politics and religion, because, that's just what we do. But my uncle reminded me that democracy is the government. People want the government to rule, and the republic, as we say in the Pledge of Allegiance, to the republic from which it stands, that's by the people. And we've gotten so far away from that. We want to be Republican Democrats, but we've gotten away from the real rooted reasons that we have these parties in the first place, or what they stand for. And democracy wants the government to rule, and Republicans, like the Republicans, we want to be governed by the people. And here we are with Joe Biden still in his administration, wherever he is, because we haven't seen him in a minute, but he's, on the sideline doing, wherever he is. But we have to remember that the real root of our parties.
All right. Yeah. Xandria, I mean, what do you have to say regarding these policies that are being brought forward by Democrats all across the country, right here in Baltimore City? I mean, are they helping or hurting the country?
It's sad. They're definitely hurting, and I want to kind of bounce off of what Yana said, because isn't it so ironic how history repeats itself, and us, especially in America, a country that has been so privileged in so many ways as a nation, isn't learning from history and is now repeating the mistakes of other countries. If you look at all these leftist Biden policies, these are all things that have historically destroyed other countries and civilizations, and they've crumbled. And now the left, they're slowly, and Yana kind of mentioned, you can do it as a fast roll, like a revolution, right, where everything changes quickly, or a slow social type of revolution. And the left is slowly infringing on their own rights, and they don't even know it. And then by the time that they want to make a change, it's just going to come back to bite them. And I just want to give two examples, because one, for instance, if you think about the Holocaust, for instance, right? So identity cards were used as a result of the 1938 decree by the German Ministry of Interior requiring every Jew in Germany to carry an identity card marked with a J for Jewish at all times. Okay, we're right now in our country, they're promoting COVID cards. I mean, like, why are they not making this connection? And then
mandating, not promoting, mandating.
Right, exactly. And another example, and I know we've talked about her in the past, but you had Yeonmi Park, the North Korean defector who went to Columbia University, and she said she was astounded by the level of censorship there, and she's like, it's worse here than in North Korea. So I don't understand how this far left, they're just not even making the connections between people come to America to flee all of the prosecution and that comes from all of these policies that they're trying to implement here, policies that were already implemented in other countries. People flee from that and come here, and now the far left is trying to do the same thing here.
I want to add that these policies, like Xandria said, the left is playing with people's lives, and the policies that they promote are the very policies that hurt the people that they claim to be protecting.
Yeah.
Again, at the end of every one of their policies, you will find dead people.
You're right. I know in Los Angeles, they announced they caught 14 people in connection with smash and grab crimes, but within hours of being detained, they were all released, due in part to California's zero bail policy, which means those charged with nonviolent felonies and misdemeanors are released while waiting for trial without having to pay any bail. And, not only are conservatives starting to push back about this, but Democrats, some on the left, are beginning to reject these policies. The Democratic mayor of San Jose was outraged after 2 murder suspects were released from jail in his city. He tweeted about the bail policies, saying the pendulum has swung too far. And it's our neighborhoods, as what Shelly was saying, that endure the most crime, that suffer as a result. This is a Democrat saying it now.
And I just want to add, there's so many people that are like, socialism, communism, these things, they can't overtake America. We have democratic policies in place, right? And you're like, it's not something that just like overnight happens. It's a slow progression. And how can you say that when you are voting people in that are changing the policies towards, they're no longer democratic or republic type policies.
Right. Yeah, that's their social, right, Xandria, that's their social revolution that they're working on. It's they realize they can't really have a war. I mean, maybe, but they want to change everything slowly through policy.
Look what happened in New York City. So now they are allowing non-citizens some voting rights. So New York City just said they will soon allow non-citizen voting in local elections. The decision comes after decades of progressive activism and efforts to expand voting to new groups. So if you can't win with citizens, you're going to win somehow. You get these people who are not citizens and give them the vote. They probably can't even speak English, and you just hand them a card, tell them to vote for Democrat. That's crazy.
That's what they did. That's what they've been doing. That's what you. Never mind.
Well, and the local elections affect the federal elections. I mean, the local elections have the most impact on where you are and where you live. Okay, why should anybody come legally anymore? Why bother? You can get the same. You can vote now in the U.S. Why?
Yeah. New York City will soon be the largest city in the country to allow this. Non-citizens to register with a political party and vote in municipal elections. New York City. So again,
that democracy I'm telling you about. It's not by the people anymore.
Yeah. We got to continue to watch this. People that that believe in the rule of law and want the cities to do better. We got to let them know to be made aware of this and push back against these policies and vote differently. Vote differently. Don't vote in these incumbent Democratic people, politicians in your areas. Vote for someone else. Even if you don't vote Republican, just vote for someone else that aligns, that is going to do more than what these people have been doing. Oh, all right. So we are at the end of our show at this time. We do have a couple comments I'd just like to post. We have Tiana, who says, "What in the world?" So she also says, "I hadn't heard about that." Yes, definitely Google it. It's been in the news this week. It's a bill that they're saying is sure to pass with the Democratic-controlled legislator there. So definitely check it out. Blanca, she says, estimated 800,000 non-citizens will vote in New York. Yes. So again, we will continue to follow these stories and bring them to you. So we are at the end of our show. Thank you so much for watching. Continue the conversation by checking us out on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And subscribe. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe. We appreciate the support. We are an independent media, and each time you subscribe, it helps make our voice that much stronger. So again, share this video to your social media. Again, share it with your friends. Inbox them the video. It will be available once we finish tonight. Check us out on our website at www.metroconservativemedia.com. We look forward to seeing you again next week. Until then, count your blessings and live a life of purpose. Good night.
Good night.